he sits on Recreation Committee, I think. Jack.
Does he have an angle grinder?
Just get on my chop saw.
It's going to use your chop. Why don't you just put an angle grinder with a zip blade on it?
I don't know.
I've got an
I'm
angle.
not doing it. He's taking the whole hitch off and setting it down so he can cut it. But he's changing that part too, so he can stick it up. So that's great.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for June the 8th, 2020. We'll call the meeting to order and ask for the adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councillor Bruin.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion we adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And just for the record, Councillor Stravas is not able to be with us for the regularly scheduled portion of the meeting, but will be with us for the closed session via teleconference. All right, on to item number 3, adoption of the minutes. Item 3.1, minutes of regular council meeting, May 25th, 2020. Mr. Armfeld.
Yes, first up as usual is your meeting minutes from the last council meeting, May 25th, for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Garner.
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor, that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on May 11th, 2020 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion?
It should be May
Councillor
25th,
First,
I believe.
Pardon me?
Is it May 25th?
Catch May 25th, I'll amend that.
Except
Oh,
for
look at
my
that.
amendment.
Yes, sorry about that. That's us.
May 25th.
All right, thank you. Once again, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 4, business arising from the minutes. No business arising. Item 4.1, slow your roll signage policy. Mr. Armfeld.
Yeah, so you'll remember at your last council meeting that you had a delegation come in and talk about the slow your roll opportunity that council voted unanimously in favor to support. Luckily, we looked in our documents and it didn't require any amendments to any of our bylaws. Our bylaws have been written in a way that we can accommodate this through a policy. So Ms. Van Ham's team has put together this policy for council's consideration. If council accepts the policy, we are basically ready to go with that program. If you have any questions, I direct them to Ms. Van Ham, who's on the phone, that can answer them.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bruin.
Direct this to Ms. Van Ham, if I may. Do they require a permit for these signs then? It's they don't have to pay the town a fee for this?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Through to Councillor Bruin. No, there is no permit required for these signs.
Okay, that's great. The other question I had was, how do we enforce people that just leave it up 24 hours? Because I think it's going to be our only problem. People and children aren't playing at their the signs out there permanently, and we'd like to encourage people only to use them when children are out, so it doesn't just become another sign people ignore.
Yeah, Councillor Bruin, I had a discussion with the coordinator who presented at the last council meeting, and she is fully on board for all of the procedures and the policy portion. So it would, if she's got an idea on who's got them in her yard, she will make sure that everyone is completely aware of the policy and procedure before the implementation.
Thank you very much, Carrie. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
All right, just to confirm, there's no other questions arising as a result related to the policy. All right, thank you, Councillor Bruin.
I'd like to make a motion that council approves the slow your roll signage policy C-11 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Great, thank you. On to item number 5, 5.1, proposed exotic and wild animal bylaw. Mr. Armfeld.
Yes, this is coming through for council's consideration. The genesis ultimately for this is the annexation area and the need to accommodate some animals in that annexation area that were formerly not part of the town, but now are part of the town. We had waited to amend this bylaw, Mr. Mayor, until we went through the consideration with the backyard hens, but given council's direction on that matter, we have bundled this up such that the backyard hens would not be condoned in the town of Taber, and we're bringing this revised bylaw forward for council's consideration. Again, it was Ms. Van Ham's really effort that put this together. So if council has any questions on that, I would direct them to Ms. Van Ham.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bruin.
Mr. Mayor, directed to Ms. Van Ham. This is definitely not going to include any residents in the pre-existing town of Tabor then. This is just for the newly annexed land, and it's specific to only that.
Worship, no, this is for the entire town. So we had an exotic animals bylaw for the entire town, and this bylaw is replacing that exotic animals bylaw for the entire town.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Armfield. I wasn't aware of that.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? All right, someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council gives first reading to Exotic and Wild Animals Bylaw 9-2020.
Right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And someone prepared to make a second motion? Councillor Garner.
Mr. Mayor, I'm prepared to make that motion that council gives second reading to Exotic and Wild Animal Bylaw 9-2020.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Someone prepared to make the third required motion? Councillor Towns.
Mr. Mayor, move that council gives unanimous consent to proceed to third and final reading of Exotic and Wild Animal Bylaw 9-2020.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And the fourth motion required. Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council gives third and final reading of Exotic and Wild Animal Bylaw 9-2020.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to action items number 6.1, Canadian Award for Financial Reporting. Mr. Armfield.
So this is a celebration that we have for council this evening. Annually, we submit our reports, our financial reports, to the Government Finance Officers Association for Canada and the United States for them to also vet. We submit those reports to the province and as part of our audit structure according to the Municipal Government Act. And Mr. Orwa is here, coming close to being front and center stage to have a conversation with council about the Government Financial Officers Association and his award that he has just won for the 2018 financial statements. Mr. Orwa.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, as you know, the finance department is very happy to win this award since I came. This is the second in a row. This is a very prestigious award, and I would have loved my team to be with me today, but it's not possible. So Team Finance, if you're watching out there, thank you very much for your support and effort. I really appreciate the support you've given me all along. Again, and in addition to that, one thing that I would also like to add is because of this, as a result of this, I was requested by GFO International to start reviewing financial statements for the whole of Canada. And I think last year I reviewed the city of Kelowna. So this year I'm not very sure what municipality I'll be given. I would also want to encourage council to at least look at our annual report. It's on our website and see what we have out there, full of statistics and things that I believe you can benefit from. And we would also appreciate your feedback, especially that will make it even better for the ones to come. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roa. Any questions or comments? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to congratulate also your administrative team, Mr. Orba, and you in particular, sir. I have two questions, I guess. Where's the money? Did they give you a monetary reward for this?
Unfortunately, there is no monetary awards, but I believe it's putting Tabor on the map. And this is one of the ways of being a good ambassador out there. So I can assure you that nobody has visited Tabor, but if you go to Chicago office, at least Mr. Orwa's name will be mentioned there and the town of Tabor, but no monetary value attached to it. But I do believe something better will come out of it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Second question I made.
Sure, you bet.
When you do reviews for financial statements for Kelowna, for example, do they compensate you for your time, sir?
They don't. This is, again, another volunteer work that I do outside my normal work. And because of that, you learn a lot from it and you make the town of Tabor better with what you see out there, because that is the second round. The first one I did was the town of Oakville out of Ontario. And I started developing a lot of that from there. When I looked at the city of Kelowna, there are some statistics there that I'd not even looked at before. And now if you look at our annual report, it's even getting better and better. So very quickly it will be up there, and I believe if you build it, it will come.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Orr.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
I'd just like to echo what Mr. Beckering said, except the money part. Very good job, and we're very lucky to have our department staff we do, and we're on the map. That's good, John. Thank you.
Thank you also, Judge. I'd like to suggest that as well, Mr. Roa. Congratulations to yourself and your team for another great job, and you're more than putting Tabor on the map. So very well done all the way around, and it'd be nice to see some other tangible recognition like Councillor Beckering was referring to, but I guess that maybe isn't in the cards, but maybe tickets to see the Cubs or something is negotiable down the road or something for you. All right, anything else there? Councillor Thames.
No, but before I make the motion to accept it, I'd like to give them a round of applause, our financial team, because they did a fantastic job.
Sure.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I move that council accepts the presentation of the Canadian Award for Financial Reporting for its annual report for the year ending December 31st, 2018, and the Canadian Award for Financial Reporting Achievement to the Financial Department for information purposes.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 6.2, Federation of Canadian Municipalities Asset Management Grant. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, I
Mr.
think
Orwa, anyway.
be probably calling Mr. Orwa and Ms. Van Dam back up just to speak to this one. Generally, council, with their blanket motion to go for grants, we can usually handle that with grants, but this one needs a very specific motion, plus there is a financial commitment related to this one. You'll see at the point number 3 in your recommendation. So I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Orwa again for some explanation, or to Ms. Van Dam, whichever.
Thank you very much. I'll leave this one for Erica to proceed.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of Council.
Good afternoon.
So the Town of Tabor would like to apply for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Asset Management Program. The purpose of this grant is to support Canadian municipalities in making informed infrastructure investment decisions based on stronger asset management practices. The grant funds 80% of your project total up to a maximum of $50,000. The Town of Tabor's total asset management program would cost $100,000. The $50,000 contribution requested from the Town of Tabor in the resolution is already budgeted in our operating budget, which includes software licenses for asset management programs and staff salaries and wages. Like Corey said, a council resolution is required by this grant. Now I'll be available for any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? None whatsoever. All right. Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, do these need to be 3 separate motions? Or can I read them separate?
You would like them separate?
Okay.
Yes, please, separate.
Certainly. I move that Council directs administration to apply for a grant from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Municipal Asset Management Program for the Town of Tabor.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And the second recorded motion, Councillor Thames.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move, be it therefore resolved that the Town of Tabor commits to conducting the following activities in the proposed project submitted to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Municipal Asset Management Program to advance the Town of Tabor's asset management program. 1, risk assessment and asset management, professional and or technical service for data collected and reporting, asset management plans, policies and strategies, training and organizational development.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And the third required motion, Councillor Gunnar.
Mr. Mayor, I can make that motion, that be it further resolved that the Town of Tabor commits $50,000 from its budget towards the cost of this initiative.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A question to Ms. Dam. The $50,000, did you say it was already in the budget for 2020?
So the $50,000 will be like licenses and fees for asset management programs that the town of Taber already has. So that includes things like ORSC and Asset Finder. And then it would also include the staff salaries and wages.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, once again, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.3, economic relief consideration, leaseholders, Maggie's Place, Mr. Rundle.
Yeah, there's a couple of these coming through to council. You'll see on your agenda package, based off of the direction from council at the last meeting to essentially make agreements one-on-one between the council and the leaseholders. We have a number of these. The first ones is Maggie's. Carrie Van Ham is on the phone. Do you have any clarity questions? She can answer those clarity questions if you have any.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? All right, someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council directs administration to authorize rent forgiveness for the community center concession tenant Maggie's Place from April 2020 until the concession is able to reopen, due to the fact that the community center concession is undergoing a complete renovation and is not operational. And in the event the concession renovations are finalized prior to the ability of the community centre to open due to the Government of Alberta facility restrictions related to COVID-19, the council directs administration to follow the government landlord relief program, allowing 25% payment from the tenant, 75% by the town of Taber until the provincially mandated opening date.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.4, economic relief consideration, leaseholders tops. Mr. Rundle.
Similarly, with the previous motion and the previous agenda item, the tops is here for your consideration as well.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Thames?
No question, just prepared to make a motion.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, move that council directs administration to follow the government landlord relief program, allowing 25% payment from the TOPS Alberta 3564 Taber tenant, 75% by the town of Taber from March and April 2020 to the provincially mandated opening date.
Great. Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.5, Key 40 Club lease termination. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, and with our reaching out to our leaseholders in the facility of the arena and the Civic Center, we were informed by the K40 Club that they no longer were looking for leasing the space that they are in. So they're choosing to terminate on their behalf, and that information is coming forward to council with administration's recommended action.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts the notice of lease cancellation document from the K1940 Club of Taber, a subsidiary of the Kinsman Club of Taber, in accordance with Article 10 of their existing lease agreement, and further that council refund the lease payments for the period of April, May, June through December 31, 2020 in the amount of $444.90, inclusive of GST, and that council thanks the K40 Club of Taber for the long-standing lease relationship and wish the club the best in their future endeavors.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.6, flag protocol policy. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, this policy is coming back for council's consideration based off of a renewal. There are no changes proposed by administration on this matter. We are here for a discussion. Any questions that you may have on it?
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? All right, someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Garner.
I can make that motion, Mr. Mayor. The council accepts the flag protocol policy C9 as presented.
Okay, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 6.7, disposal of municipal documents. Mr. Armfield.
Yeah, so Administrative Services has taken it upon themselves to start doing a little bit of file cleaning and removing some of the documents that we no longer need to retain. Some of those are between 3 to 7 years. Part of that process then is that we bring the documents that we would like to destroy to council for your blessing. As long as you are aware, it's consistent with our bylaws, and then we can move forward with the destruction of those documents. Again, Ms. Van Ham is on the phone if there's any questions in this regard.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth?
Mr. Mayor, I move that council approves the destruction of the documents identified in the attached list per the retention period in years identified in Schedule A of bylaw number 10-99, retention of municipal documents.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.8, Downtown Architectural Guide Draft. Mr. Armfeld.
Yes, I believe our planning officer, Rob Jansen, is going to be coming up and discussing these next two items. Both of these are specific initiatives out of council's strategic plan. Very happy to bring these two forward, kind of coming full circle. So, Mr. Jansen, if you'd like to run council through the architectural guide first, and then we'll do the signage one after. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Jansen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Worship, members of council. As Mr. Armfeldt mentioned, I will present just quickly on the Downtown Architectural Guide draft and then follow that with the Gateway Signage Review Report. As per the town's strategic plan, a Downtown Architectural Guide is currently being developed by administration, and we are at the point where we are bringing the first draft to you for consideration for moving forward. The purpose of the guide is to encourage development that complements and enhances upon Tabor's existing unique small town character and history, with the goal that these enhancements will further enrich the downtown experience for residents and visitors and lead to more pedestrian traffic, community activity, and commerce in the downtown. The guide provides direction on a number of architectural details with a focus on facades and pedestrian corridors, among other factors. The attached draft is being presented to council for initial consideration and direction to proceed with internal and external consultation, including but not limited to consultation with the Municipal Planning Commission, downtown businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, and residents. Administration also seeks confirmation from council that this guideline is moving in the proper direction based on any review that you may have had the chance to complete at this time. If you have any questions or further directions regarding the attached draft, please let administration know at this time if you'd like.
All right, thank you. Any questions whatsoever? All right, someone prepared to make a motion. Councillor Tams?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I've looked at that and I looked at the pictures, and I think I think you guys are really on the right track, and I like that it's going to a public consultation. With that, I move that council accepts the Downtown Architectural Guide draft as information for consideration and directs administration to proceed with public consultation prior to bringing the document back to council for further review.
All right, thank you. Councillor Becker, did you have a question also?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Mr. Jansen. Thus far, there's been no financial implication in this document. I read that. Do you foresee any financial implication down the road for the town?
Not beyond, through your worship, not beyond public consultation costs, which should be fairly minimal. We do intend to complete these documents through use of administration's time and not through bringing in outside consultations, so to keep those finances to a minimum.
Great, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Also, item 6.9, Gateway Signage Review. Mr. Armfeldt.
Yeah, similar direction that came out of the strategic plan was to have a look at all the signage in the highway corridors, Highway 36 and Highway 3, and see if there's some opportunities there for some beautification and reconciliation on some of that signage. So again, Mr. Jansen has gone out and done a good job in taking some pictures and offering some direction to council on how to improve those gateway features. Mr. Jansen, if you want to take council through that.
Mr. Armfeldt. Again, this is another draft. It's closer to recommendations to council, but we would like to take it for some consultation first. The draft report outlines the current state of signs along the main gateway corridors through the town. The main areas that are traveled, often people will just drive through town on these. Sometimes they use it to access town, etc. But really a good first look at what the town offers you as people come into the town makes these very important aspects. So our report offers some recommendations related to the removal, consolidation, and addition of signage and other features along these gateways. This would be to improve the town's sense of place and attract more traffic into town that may otherwise drive through. The attached draft, again, is being presented to Council for initial consideration and direction to proceed with internal and external consultation. Administration also seeks confirmation from Council that this guideline is moving in the proper direction.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bruin.
I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that Town Council accepts the Gateway Signage Review Report draft as information for consideration and directs administration to proceed with public consultation prior to bringing the document back to Council for further review.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 610, standing items. Mr. Armfeldt.
Yeah, this is the opportunity that council has to ask administration any questions or give us any direction through the form of a motion. Just before we get there, just summarize what we've got in our chart. I think the one that we've probably been languishing the longest because of COVID and no police commission meeting is the motion from Councillor Firth. So we are having a police commission meeting in a week, about 10 days. So we should hopefully catch this one on that police commission meeting and get that one forward. And I know Mr. Scheer is working on the request from Councillor Stravas with regards to the rainfall situation that's being handled by MPE right now. So that should be back in Council's hands fairly shortly. Hoping in the next meeting. So those are the ones that are in the job jar. And if there's anything else, please let us know.
All right, thank you. Any standing item requests? Nothing today. Councillor Garner.
I'd like to bring something up, not by way of motion, but by way of information, more than anything else. I've noticed over by the Seniors Lodge on 48th Street, we have a couple of pedestrian crossings marked on the asphalt there. But I'm wondering if Public Works or someone in the town can take a look at that, because the one side going eastward towards Confederation Park has a ramp, and a lot of those people use walkers or wheelchairs. When they enter that pedestrian crossing on 48th, it's a conventional curb, and I'm just wondering if maybe we couldn't make that a little more user-friendly. So I don't know do we need a motion for that, or...
Councillor Bruin.
I'd just like to add to what Mark says there. We also have the same situation just around on the curve there by the ball diamond across from Signature Point. There's a wheelchair ramp on the east side, but nothing on the west side. So I've actually watched people at the intersection Mr. Garner's talking about, and they go across with walkers from the spray park, but they have to walk down the street to the alleyway to get back onto the sidewalk. So that one's quite a priority, I would think, for the seniors to get those done.
All right, just for clarification and administration purposes, are you saying that the ramp portion is not lined up with the sidewalk on both those locations?
There is no handicap curb or a silk curb for people to get up on.
Well, at the secondary location?
Both locations.
Yeah, that's correct.
There are ramp locations, but they're not lined up? Is that what?
There's only ramp locations on the east side of the street, not on the west side. So they cross the street to come to the other side, and it's just a regular curb.
Can't say I've ever looked at that, to be honest. But
it's actually been brought up before by the ball diamond, but we haven't acted on it.
Okay. Mr. Arfeld.
Yeah, I would have to take that back to Public Works. Like I know they're doing, part of their concrete work right now around town and planning for that. I don't want to put Mr. Scheer on the spot necessarily, but if we could get those addresses for sure, if those two, we can see if we can add that to the concrete work for this year and get those, because council's completely right. Where there's a rolled curb on one side and then a blunt nose on the other, it makes it hard for a walker to get up on the other side.
And then, like I said, the one Councillor Garner had that address, 48th Street and 50th Ave, right? And the other one, do we have an actual address? That's just the
we do.
further
I've got
south.
some photographs. I've got some photographs.
Okay. Yeah. All right, just so we're sure administrators all on the same page here. Does that suffice, Mr. Arfeld?
Yeah, that's good. Like we can connect after the meeting, or either tomorrow you can send me an email and we'll just add that to the hopper. Hey, yeah.
Okay, fair enough, Mr. Scheer.
Yes,
Sorry. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. Anything else? Councillor Bruin.
Well, I can't go without saying Tabor got a new citizen last week. I'm a proud grandfather of Jet Reese Bruin. So I want that on the record.
Well, congratulations, Councillor Bruin.
A taxpayer?
Probably going to be. Taxpayer. He's going to be paying for us for the rest of his life.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Anything else arising? All right. We're into delegation. We have no delegations in open session. And on to media inquiries. Any information from our media whatsoever?
I was texted earlier that Trevor's actually on holiday, so there's no media questions this evening. Yeah.
All right, great, thank you. So with that, I believe we got to do a little bit of contact for Councillor Stravas. So it was a 10-minute break in order to take care of this. So I just have to ask for a 10-minute adjournment and to move into closed session. Councillor Beckering?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move the recess for 10 minutes and reconvene in closed session at 4:15.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried now. Thank you.
Always throw the freezing. I like it. I'll be open for the freezing.